Welcome to Ergo Cosmos Seeker. May it serve you as a guide. Ergo Cosmos, Volume 1 follows the original audio preserved in the Capsula Stellata vault. Disconcertingly, the recording was ritually anointed with the mechanical aids usually reserved for more sacred material. One might speculate about the reasons for such a choice. In any case, this protective procedure preserved most of the track from the ravages of the solar winds, though some parts have suffered damage. While the missing sections do not diminish the pleasure of this strange audio tale, I have inserted my own voice saying, "Missing section," that the listener remain mindful of what is lost and more grateful for what endures. One such gap occurs at the very beginning of the story, leaving us ignorant of many things concerning the anonymous traveler from Ganymede, the manner of this arrival upon the holy moon, and other details of his past. The account begins instead with words of obscure meaning, perhaps the conclusion of a reasoning the narrator had begun before. Many have claimed certain beneficial effects in meditating upon the following material, but you will be the ultimate judge of that. Along the road that crosses the Atticus crater, I encountered one of those skilled swordsmen who called themselves the Darting Hearts, perhaps the only martial order of note that was not founded under benevolent imperial auspices. Since the caravan had stopped on a crossroad to rest, I had the opportunity to converse with him. He claimed to be deeply in love with a certain lady, the wife of the Marquis of the Highest Drone, a notorious adulteress and perjurer, about whom all kinds of stories were told, such that I blushed at the mere thought. Alas, despite his ardent affections, the poor swordsman received no favor from her. On the contrary, taking advantage of the sentiment he harbored, she had sent him to undertake an impossible and sinful endeavor, which caused him much distress. I advised the swordsman to forget her, and offered a potion capable of mending all wounds caused by love. But the young man, weeping, told me he preferred the amorous poison to the bitter remedy. After a long march, we arrived at the abandoned Covenant of the Bees, a once hallowed sanctuary devoted to the worship of the twin saints. As I had been told, a malady had penetrated its hexagonal walls since the war's inception, leaving it in mournful decay. My companions elucidated that the name for this scourge was lunar leprosy, and the mere thought of it made me uneasy. I have heard unsettling tales about this dreadful illness. It is said that the flesh of the afflicted crumbles into minute fragments, and when the disease reaches the heart, the entire person vanishes suddenly, as if they had never existed. Only a shadow remains where the body dissolved, easily mistaken for a dark stain painted on the ground. Along the road that crosses the edges of the Palus Putridinus, I have seen many such black silhouettes, and I feared to tread on them with the tip of my boots. I was told there is no risk of contracting the malady by brushing against them, but only by sleeping nearby. However, when little is known, isn't it better to exercise caution? Under the protection of the bailiff of Vartamena, our caravan fearlessly crossed the shores of the Palus Nebularum, rightly called the Silent Beaches by the Astabani people. Continuing further along the main road, we reached the gloomy expanse of hills near which the Oasis Leokoono should stand. However, after much wandering, we found no trace of it. There were no pavilions, no footprints, or symbols carved on the rocks, nor was anything heard but the voice of the wind whispering on the shining whiteness of the stones. For this reason, Dardano, the master of caravan, ordered one of those peacock-fish hunts, tales of which had reached me in the city of Spina Caesaris, inspiring equal parts wonder and disgust. The slaughter of these beautiful creatures attracts the presence of the Selenites, he explained to me. However, since I felt a certain revulsion to the idea of participating, I took the liberty to ask him, "But isn't it said that the peacock fish are dear to the 10,000 saints? Are they not celebrated in the verses of the immaterial Gospels?" At these words, Dardano nearly expelled me from the caravan's assembly, deeming me a jinx. I had to remind him of our accord and the specific orders he had received to prevent our disagreement from becoming disastrous. As I had imagined, the hunt was a bloody affair. I was assured that one quickly gets used to killing these fragile creatures, yet I doubt their anguished cries will ever evade from my memory. They screamed as if they were children or young women. Following the massacre, we purified ourselves as prescribed by the rites. They say that that is enough. Whatever the truth, the oasis did not appear. Despite numerous attempts, be it offerings of gifts, resounding trumpets, poetic odes, or even electrical impulses, our endeavors to gain access to the oasis have been fruitless. Dardanus laughed at my haste, explaining that the Selenite sultans might be indisposed, or due to their inexplicable whims, might not wish to grant us hospitality. He sternly warned me, perhaps they will not appear at all, or they might reveal themselves to a small group of chosen ones, or maybe they will open the door of the oasis for you alone. Learn to be patient. The more anxiously you await their manifestation, the more difficult it will be to see them. Another caravan has arrived. They joined us in patient wait for the oasis and its inscrutable rulers. However, we keep our distance from the newcomers, as they have quickly hoisted the standards of the Republic of Ypernefele, known to be on good terms with the Grand Ducal House of Mercury and other irreducible enemies of the faithful believers. Besides, they are weary and show no desire to engage in battle. I thank the saints for every moment of peace they grant us. Too much blood has already stained these hills. Those who dwell on the holy moon revere the endurance required to withstand the prolonged lunar day as the lady of slow waiting, and remind ourselves of this steadfast virtue, gazing at the sun shining immovable like a gem set in the sky. We wait, but the Oasis Leokoono does not appear. Deceived by a shimmering shape that seemed to dance among a certain group of rocks, I went closer to the caravan of Ypernefele. I hoped it was a Selenite curious about our presence, but alas, I was mistaken and found myself caught by my enemies like a fish snagged on a hook. I believed my end was near, but instead I was brought before the captain of that band, a skilled swordswoman named Clara of Arcadia. By the blessed mercy of the saints, she recognized me from the days of the last truce, when I performed at the court of her princess, Constance of Bos. With gracious manners, she invited me to play a song for her and her company's delight, an invitation I readily accepted. I was not certain that they would let me go. However, pleased by the music, they decided to release me. My astonishment was so evident that it moved the woman in arms to laughter, and she said to me, "Do you think we hang you from our banners as a hunter hangs a hare on his hearth?" Following this initial encounter, the swordswoman and I had the opportunity to speak together several times. With a nostalgic air, she recalled the lands of her birth, the azure hills of the Mercurian Arcadia, enveloped by forests so dense they seemed like a palisade guarding a fort. Yet there was something strange in what she said, as if her memories bore a burden heavier than mere homesickness. I know something of such pains. In any case, were I not bound by a sacred vow, I might have sought her tender embrace, enemy of my city though she may be. The heart is a fragile muscle, as I know more than anyone. Better so, after all. Who can say she would have accepted it? I spent too much time at the enemy camp, enough to worry Dardanus. He advised me to be cautious. Such dalliances may paint you as a traitor or a spy. Little to anticipate the gravity of what was to come. My friendly meeting with the Arcadian lady sparked fierce, mad jealousy in her second command, Gaudone, a man whose arrogance and lack of refinement hardly befit a gentleman, if I may be so bold. How can I believe the rumors that he and my Mercurian host are lovers? Whatever the truth, Gaudone had challenged me to a passage of arms. What should I do? Pride urges me to accept, but my vow prevents me from killing. Good saints! When I think of Gaudone, my heart turns black with anger. He believes he can easily defeat me, seeing me as a wandering minstrel, suitable only for entertaining young ladies and idlers. Little does he know that the lute I carry is a golden lute, and with it I bear the weight of a rigorous discipline. The duel took place. Gaudone lies dead after the second assault. Now they accuse me of having poisoned him before our confrontation. I have killed a man. The duel had the effects I had feared. It shattered the fragile peace between the caravans. We fought, and who knows how long it would have continued if the arrival of the darkness had not forced us to establish a tentative truce. Not virtue or faith in the saints put an end to the carnage, but rather the cold grip of nightfall. In Dardanus' cavern, I am considered by half of my companions as a hero and a true believer, while the other half sees me as a murderer and an irredeemable fool whose rashness led to needless loss of life. In these clashes between rival armed bands, a unique amalgam of fury and sorrow pervades the air. Distinct from the impersonal battles of vast armies, I know each one of the fallen, and with all of them, I have toasted to the saints and the princes. Today I saw die Canto of Spina Caesaris, the young Amalto and his brother Ceno, Benno and his son, the former dying in vain to save the latter, Gaio the mute, and Lades of the Emporium of Porphyry, the pious Musina, the 3 hunter companions, Vano, Orso, and Bel Paionio. Total 11. I too nearly escaped death, and was saved by the beggar Sigello, whom I thought was an unfortunate exile at the service of Dardanus. Yet he seems to hide more than meets the eye, like the steady hand of one experienced in wielding all kinds of weapons. He consoled me by saying, "Tears are now futile. Worse than sinning is to profess virtue after having sinned." It was thought that the battle would do nothing but irritate the underground lords of the Holy Moon. Yet Dardanus roused me to witness a vision that defied all expectations. The grand tents of the Oasis Leokoono had finally risen. Their splendor and radiance left me incredulous. Towering vaults and delicate columns, reminiscent of silk threads, enveloped us from every angle. As much as I had read some accounts of the ghostly appearances of the Selenite palaces, it was quite another thing to witness this prodigious event. Now I understand the mystery that shrouds these oases, in equal parts radiant and outlandish. Fear, dismay, and relief made us reconcile with our enemies. We embraced and wept together for the dead.